NSE All Share Index was up about 0.25% in early trade to 37,465 points. The gainers in early trade included the UAC, GSK, GT Bank, Zenith Bank, and IHS, while some of the laggards included Presco, Portland Paints, Dangote Sugar, and WAPIC. Recently, we've seen that the market has been trading moderate volumes, and let's cross now to the stock exchange to hear whether things are changing at all. Oluwaseun Adesoye, head of stockbroking at Associated Asset Managers, is standing by for a conversation. Thank you so much, Seun, for joining us. So, first of all, let's talk about the volumes. Do you think volumes are still likely to be thin today? We've seen them moderate recently. On Friday, they were down to about 2.9 billion naira in terms of value traded. So, where do you see the market going from here in terms of volumes traded?
Morning, Wally. I think the market is still going to be trading cautiously this week. I don't expect the volumes to inch up as much as we would like it, because you can see that even though the market is expecting the half-year results of most of the banks, which are major drivers of the volumes in the market, but we'll see that there's a lot of caution that the investors are exhibiting. And so for the large caps, you also want to trade cautiously, because not many of them are going to give any return significantly. So for me, it's still caution, caution, caution all the way.
Right, so caution is the watchword right now. But let's talk around some news flow from the markets. NACO has announced plans to raise 25 billion naira. We'll be interested to see if that will be a public offering, as we haven't seen a public offer in well over 4 years in this market. So your thoughts about that news, and particularly the industry is coming from, of course, they are into aviation services. So your thoughts about NACO coming to the markets?
For me, I think there can be a better time. We'll see a lot of awakening in the primary market activities of late. And we see that for the few stocks that have come to raise rights issues, they've done very well. So for NACO coming at this time, I think it's a very welcome idea. As to whether they're going to come with a public offer, well, it will make some sense if they do. But whichever way it is, I think it's welcome for the market. It's going to boost activities. And also, we'll see that the particular sector, the inflow is highly needed. So for me, I expect that a lot of activity will come around that stock in a short while.
Well, it does sound like a lot of money for a company like NACO to be raising, but one imagines that perhaps it's part of their broader diversification strategy. But let's move on to the banking sector. Of course, the banks will be in focus this week and perhaps next week as we begin to see some of those Q2 numbers coming out. When you look at the banks this year, of course, they have underperformed the broader market. Do you think that these are the results that are going to get the market, the banking stocks going in 2013? Because one gets the sense that they have really been, their performance has been pretty slow, given where you see where the other consumer stocks are trading right now.
I won't totally agree with you that the performance has been really slow compared to the consumer stocks. For me, I think it's more about the fact that they're coming out of the woods, they're getting stable, and then we expect that a lot of recovery is coming into their activities. And for me, I would expect that one would begin to look at it that, okay, what lies in stock after now? I think the after now is more important. And then for the stocks that would always give interim dividend, we'll begin to see a lot of activity around there. GT Bank, for example, was about one of the top 10 volumes traded today. And I would also expect that Access, it has not done very well today, but I don't expect that before the end of the month, given their 3-year performance, activity might begin to surge around there as well. So for me, the banks, they've not done too badly. Yes, they can do better. There's provision for improvement, but don't let's give up on them yet.
Well, I'm certainly not giving up on the banks, but the point I was trying to make is that if you look at the likes of Zenith Bank, for instance, it's only up 15% this year. GT Bank is only up about 20%. Those are, of course, some of the largest banks. There are, of course, some outliers. We see a bank like Wema Bank up 120%. The likes of UBA, of course, recovering from a pretty slow start over the last 2 years. It's up about 90% this year. So there is clearly the case of looking at the banks and saying they're underperforming the broader market, which is up about 30% this year. But if we move on to other sectors, let's talk about the cement space. Dangote Cement, of course, is the big one in that space. Your thoughts about the valuation of that stock and where it's headed? We are expecting results from them in this earnings season as well.
For me, Dangote Cement, like if you look at the results, so far it's been good. And with the expectations that the company has proposed to the public, we'll see that with the expansions and all the structures they've put in place, a lot of things are beginning to happen. And I will expect that that will translate to the bottom line. And for that reason, the investors have a lot of things to look ahead to in the stock. For the other...
All right, I wanted to also touch very quickly before we move on. GlaxoSmithKline, it's one of those consumer names. Clearly, the news this earlier on was the fact that the parent company is looking to acquire a lot more of the company's shares. And your thoughts about that stock, for any investor that is looking that way at all, do you think this is a stock that one should be betting on?
I think at this time, it may not be the very good time to go in, because if you look at where that stock was coming from when the results were, when the announcement was made, it has appreciated drastically. And anybody, if they're going to come out to delist or to do a reconstruction at 48 naira, why should I buy in the stock at 55 naira? I expect some shedding in it, and whoever is buying might probably be buying for strategic reason. But if it's just for the sake of making money, I don't think this is a good time to buy.
Right. So in that consumer space, are there any other stocks that you think look exciting right now? A lot of people talking about the fact that they are pricey, the likes of Unilever, Nigerian breweries, Guinness. Is there anything out there that looks interesting to you?
For me right now, I think I would go with the popular opinion that they are pricey. But Nigerian breweries, if you look at what he has done so far and where it is now, I think it still has a lot of potential. We can still take his take on it and expect that it will still go back. It's gone up to as high as 180 this year. It's trading about 165 right now. I'm sure it can still do more, get back to 180.